All
All
right.
right.
What's going on, Client Ascension fam? Andre Haykal Jr. here, back with another student spotlight interview. And on today's interview, we have Calvin Manik from the community. Welcome, bro.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, bro. Good to finally
Of course,
connect.
dude. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah,
Is that a Marcus Aurelius statue back there, by the way?
yeah, man. I don't know, man. I just grabbed something from IKEA and just put it there. Not gonna lie, man.
Very
I,
stoic. I love it, dude. That's the greatest
yeah,
thing.
man.
Awesome, man. Well, real quick, just to get us started here, if you could explain for the audience a little bit about who you are, and also more importantly, what you're currently working on.
Right. Sounds good. Yo, Client Ascension. So I'm Calvin. So you may know me from Twitter or anywhere discussing a lot about video editing and content. So what I work on, what I'm working on, what I've been working on is I provide post-production work for agencies, e-commerce, and personal brands. What that means is it's basically videos at scale, right? Creatives at scale. So clients come to me, they have multiple other clients, and then they have no way of actually fulfilling the video editing work or the graphic design work. And instead of actually hiring like multiple unreliable freelancers or basically hiring expensive in-house graphic designers over there on the West, like in the US and the UK, they just come to me and I take care of everything post-production wise. And yeah, basically I handle like creative production and a creative post-production at scale.
That's so exciting, dude. Yeah, I've seen your work. I know you do a lot of content for some of the students in Client Ascension already. And so if you're watching this and you've seen not only Calvin's content, but some of the other guys in the program's content, good chance that Calvin and his agency
Yeah.
is behind it. So dude, you do really great work. And so I guess my next question then is like, how'd you hear about Client Ascension? When did that come on your map? Like, were you already working on an agency? How far along with the agency were you? When did that come into play?
Yeah, man. So I have a really interesting story to tell. So actually, the agency itself, I've been working on it since I was in uni. I went to uni in the UK, but at first we only worked with local clients, and I think it's a similar path to a lot of the students watching now. You work with low ticket clients. It was like what, $300, $400, shitty clients, high churn. You know the drill, right? So it was local clients. I was a bit stressed about it because it seems like I wasn't going anywhere. Each time I added a new client, I need to add a new employee or a new VA, and then they keep churning, and then the profits went like to zero, right? So it was awful. I did that for like a year and a half, 2 years maybe, a long time. It was just going in circles, man. I think the most revenue I did during that was like 4,000, and that was like with like 20 guys in my team. That doesn't even make sense, right? It was an awful experience. And then basically I got frustrated, scrolled through Twitter, and then I actually found cold email wizard first, Daniel. Scrolled through his timeline, and then I found his course actually called Email Mastery. And then the first thing that uh, got into my mind was actually, okay, I'm in Indonesia. I want clients outside of Indonesia. If I use Facebook ads or if I use Google ads, that will be expensive CPM wise because I was poor. I didn't have any money to do that. So couldn't go that route. But then I bought his course, and then it showed me a cost effective way basically to just like turbo ram prospects through cold email, right? So what I did was, okay, I bought the course, and then I also saw that Client Ascension was only like 2, 3, 4 months old when I actually bought the course, and then he promoted it a lot through his Twitter timeline. And then I thought to myself, okay, if I can only get one client through cold email, I was sending like 400 a day, just like every day, just like going through like Apollo and what did I use instantly. And yeah, I got one client through cold email, and then I put everything into Client Ascension. So basically, every any profit left, I just put it into Client Ascension. Like it can't be worse than like what I'm doing right now, right? And then yeah, I found Client Ascension through there, and then the rest is history.
Wow, dude. So you had so much conviction in Client Ascension and cold email because what it sounds like is you put all of your effort and all of your time and attention towards just getting one client from cold email, which you successfully did, just through sending a sheer amount of
Yeah,
volume. And then as soon as you did that, you just reinvested all of it and dumped all of it into Client Ascension. So I guess my question for you would be like, why were you so confident that Client Ascension would be the answer solution to you growing your agency?
Yeah, so took a look, like I scrolled through. I think I've been following Daniel for quite some time back then, and I followed you as well when Client Ascension was on the rise. And yeah, you guys just talk a lot of sense basically through the tweets, and then obviously the course itself. It was awesome. Called Email Mastery. Like, it made a lot of sense. And then actually, the one thing that pushed me over as well was uh, because it wasn't like geographically like restricted to an area. Like, what it means is, I see people from Europe crushing it. I see people from Asia crushing it. I'm like, they can do it. I can speak English well, so why can't I do it?
Yeah.
It's like it all makes sense, anyways, right? So then when I saw what the program entails, so I actually talked to Jay during the sales calls, and then he handled a lot of my objections pretty well. Like, okay, what about the one-on-one? What about if I run into this? What if I run into this? And then it just, it just made so much sense, basically.
That's so awesome, dude. I'm happy to hear it. There are a lot of different factors in there, but it just sounds like your experience with previous courses from Daniel and just seeing the content online, it made a lot of sense that what we had in there was good stuff. So I guess to dive a little bit deeper into Client Ascension and your agency journey, like when you first joined the program, it sounds like you were just going all in and you didn't really have a backup plan or a second option. And you also weren't like necessarily crushing it with the agency. So I don't know if there was one specific problem, but what would you say was your biggest problem that you struggled with early on? Like when you first joined Client Ascension, that you said, hey, like I'm in Client Ascension now, this is the first thing I want to solve.
I would definitely say lead gen. Lead gen would be the number one thing, and also sales. So those two, right? Lead gen, I did do, I wouldn't say pretty well, because I actually ran through the TAM really, really quickly. To get into Client Ascension, I don't know what I did. I didn't even track anything. I just like, okay, I just need to get one client. I don't care if I need to burn through everything, right? I just need to get a one client. Um, but then lead gen, I think the best thing that Client Ascension has taught me is actually Twitter. Twitter would be the number one thing. And then when you join Client Ascension, you connect with other like top killers in Client Ascension. You follow me, Daniel follow me, and that actually just makes everything a lot easier when you do outbound, when you post content, when people see your profile. So Twitter and cold email definitely helped me the most, and that was the one thing I was struggling with, lead gen. And then obviously sales calls. So the first sales call I took before I joined Client Ascension, the one client I onboarded, I didn't know what to actually ask. I just said, okay, what do you need? And like, okay, yeah, here's the price. That's it. There's no process, no structure, no three pillars, no David shouting, okay, that's bad. It's 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 literally just like, okay, what do you need? And then luckily he took a chance on me. And then yeah, after that, my sales process became a whole lot like it's so structured, and then I close a lot more. And yeah, those two things definitely Client Ascension helped me solve.
That's awesome, dude. And you mentioned like lead gen first, and then you're like, oh yeah, sales too. And I feel like when you're running an agency, you're so focused on that first biggest problem, which for you at the time was lead gen, that you don't even realize that you have another problem you're going to have to solve, which in your case was sales,
Yeah.
right? So I guess outside of just sales, what's something that you struggled with or you didn't even know you struggled with until you joined Client Ascension that you're like, oh man, like I can seriously improve that? Because it sounds like that's what happened with sales. Like you didn't even know there was a process that had to happen there. And when you join, you're kind of like, oh shit, like David, it really opened your eyes like three pillars in sales structure. Was there anything else like that where you joined and you kind of were like, oh, I didn't even think about improving this or working on something like this?
I would definitely say CRM is a good skill that I learned inside. Uh, CRM and definitely content. That I thought I was making pretty good content, but a lot of the courses inside of Client Ascension and then the weekly calls as well. Uh, and then I think one thing that made me like, okay, I made the right decision. Like, the one thing is community, because when we build an agency, you don't have a lot of friends, not like high school or uni friends, but like friends in the space. And then once you join the community, it's just like it's so nice to see the community uplifting each other, celebrating everyone's wins. That's one of the things that I think was one of my favorite parts of Client Ascension as well, because you just get to connect with like actual people building similar stuff to you and just like, having the same mindset and the same hustle as you, basically.
100%, dude. The community is everything. Like you have the content, you have the coaching calls, you have all of that. But dude, the community is so important. So like kind of to ask a side question is like in for the community in specific, what are some ways that you are able to leverage or utilize it to help in your business? Because I feel like a lot of people hear the word community, like, oh, it's such an awesome community and they don't really understand what that means or how that can be leveraged or used to their advantage. So like how have you benefited for being in the client ascension community specifically?
Yeah, I think in terms of community, obviously passively you can see like the channels what people are talking about, the wins channel, and just like overall any discussions on the different channels we have, lead gen, sales, et cetera, et cetera. But not only that, I got to connect usually, if not in the community, it's through Twitter, through LinkedIn, and it's like, oh, I saw you're in Client Ascension as well. And then we just chat. Some of them turn into clients as well. So yeah, I think it's just a win-win solution, isn't it? If they need your service, if I need their service, we make business opportunities happen. If not, it's just nice to, talk to other people. I found some Client Ascension members over at Bali as well, which
That's
is
cool.
nice. Yeah. So yeah, it's just having someone, it's just having other people there that are doing similar stuff to you, having the same problems as you, and just like growing together. Um,
Yeah,
that's my
no
favorite
doubt.
part.
No doubt. And are you still in Bali now?
Yeah, I go to Bali like every once. I went back from Lombok last week, so I'm
Nice.
basically based in the capital in Jakarta, but it's pretty cheap to go everywhere, to be honest.
Very cool. Yeah, I know Marcos is headed that way pretty soon. He's another one in the community that's big on Twitter and social media content as well. And so we were joking when he was here in Tampa that we'll have to do a Bali mastermind. I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's too difficult to convince everyone here to do 24 hours of travel for a client ascension. It's like,
Yeah, it
that'll
is
be the real
long.
test to see how much people love client ascension is, are they willing to do a 24-hour travel? It's a Bali.
I mean, I'll definitely come. I'll spend the 1 hour to get there.
Yeah, yeah. You better. If we make the trip that far out, man, you better be there.
100%, bro.
It looks like a cool place, so for sure. So just to go on the next couple of questions here, like since joining the program, how would you say like your agency has changed? Like where are you now compared to where you were when you first started?
Yeah, bro. I think the best way to say about this is the revenue. So when I first joined, it was around 5K a month for revenue, which is like, I mean, was it bad? It was pretty bad. But now we're on course to do 30 this month,
Wow,
hopefully 35. And it's been 5 months of consistent above 20K. So it's been
that's
awesome.
where the
Yeah,
consistency, dude.
yeah, it's been awesome. In terms of consistent lead gen, retaining clients has been really good as well. But basically, just being in the community, just learning off each other, I think it helped a lot. And obviously, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be here without Client Ascension, 100%. And I've mentioned that a lot of times through
yeah.
Twitter, Slack. So yeah, definitely, I really, really do appreciate the community. Appreciate you guys for setting this up.
Hey, well, thank you for being a big part of it. And I always say, like, the community is great, the coaching is great, the content's great, but not everyone that goes through it gets the same experience or has the same results. And that really comes down to the student and their willingness to implement and take action. And right from the beginning, like, you're obviously someone that was willing to take action, right? Like, the amount of action you took just to get inside the program already set the tone for how you're going to treat the program once you're inside. And I think that's awesome. So the next question for me is like there are a lot of students in the program that just aren't getting the value, or just aren't seeing the results as good as you are. What would your advice be to them?
My number one advice is first of all, if you're in the US or somewhere in the West, you already have an advantage over me. Like I wasn't born a native speaker. I learned English when I was growing up. through watching like cartoons. So first of all, if you already can speak English well since you were born, you already have an advantage. So no excuse there. Second, I think as good as a coaching program can be, as you've said, it still comes down to the individual. If you really want it, Client Ascension is there to actually help you get it, right? But you know, Andre and Daniel can't actually like come to your house and like, okay, bro, you need to do this, 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 and this, right? It's just stupid, bro. Like, if you really do want to like increase your revenue, build an agency, build a life you want, then you actually need to do the work. Come to the coaching calls. I know I've been slacking the coaching calls, but when I first joined the first 3 months, like literally every single one, I came to every single coaching call, finished the course, and I would say also just listen to what like Andre, Daniel, Dan, like Christian has to say, because sometimes like a good story Daniel has to say, like um he tells people what to do, and then like they give ejections, and like, bro, like we're still broke. Like, why are you not listening to me? I'm like, oh yeah, that that does make a lot of sense. So definitely just listen to them, listen to what the coaches has to have to say, and basically, if you really want it, like nobody's gonna drag you to it. Like that's literally impossible because everyone has their own business, has their own expertise. But if you really want it, there's literally no excuse if you're in the program. It's just like if you're not where you want to be, I 100% think that's just on you. 100%.
100%, dude. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people need to hear, including myself, dude. I took a long journey to get to where I'm at today. Like, started in entrepreneurship years ago, and I just wasn't giving it a, 100% effort, like some of the things you've mentioned here on this call. And until I did, I didn't have the success that I wanted. So I think that's so, so true. And kind of a similar question, but more of a personal reflection for you is like looking back, going from $4,000 to $5,000 a month to $30,000 to $35,000 a month. Like if you were to go back to before you even joined Client Ascension and say, hey, like I went through the program, it's your future self, like I know exactly how to get to $35,000. What do you think like that advice would look like? What are some of the key things that you've done to grow from 4 to 5 thousand a month to 35 or 30 to 35,000 a month?
I would say one is volume. I think that literally is volume, not only in outbound, but in literally everything. Content, giveaways, well, like videos. I've been slacking in that, but basically everything volume, right? Outbound. And then number two is don't be afraid to hire. I know some people like to keep it lean. I understand. But one of the things I found myself when I hire, I kind of like, okay, I'm going to spend this money, and then I need to find a way to justify it, basically. So that's one of the, because before I hired an SDR, there's only so much outbound and so much outreach I can do alone, to be quite honest with you. And when I hired my SDR, everything went like really good as well. And the number three is don't work with poor clients. That's, I think, the number one takeaway any agency owner can basically relate to. So those three things definitely would be top of my list.
Love it. So just to recap, you said more volume, so like posting more content, sending more emails. Number two is hiring sooner, so not being afraid to outsource some of your work and reinvest really in the
Yeah.
agency. Spend the money that you're making back into the agency. And dude, again, like this is not just Client Ascension, right? Like you did this before. You did this to get into Client Ascension. So this is something you've
Yeah.
opened about. Like you literally grinded so hard to make all this money. Most people would have taken that money and took a trip to Bali. You luckily already lived in Bali, so you're like, I'll put it back in a Client Ascension, right? And so I think that's so cool. And then the third thing you mentioned was not to work with cheap clients, right? And to
Yeah,
focus on
100%.
higher ticket clients, which I think is so great.
100%.
That's a master class within itself, dude. And so thank you so much for sharing that. I think those three keys there will help a lot of students in the program and just people that are new to the agency space in general. It's like if you do those three things, you can make a huge leap forward. And again, the caveat, the asterisk there is none of that matters if you don't show up every day and put in the work, right?
100%, bro. Like people think it's so easy when they see like, okay, in 6 months I made this, but They don't see like I've been doing this since 2020 to be quite honest with you. Like even though I've not done it in the way that it was supposed to be done, but you know the experience it compounds. You know the failures it compounds. You know, I think a lot of like the newbies in the space think like in 6 months, okay, I'm gonna be like super rich. I'm gonna make like 15K a month like off the bat. Like it doesn't work that way. You need to get through the failures. You need to get through the experience. And I think that rings true to every single entrepreneur, in my opinion. So if you're really serious about building a career as like a business owner, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, then you gotta suck it up, man. If it's a failure, you gotta keep going.
Facts. Yeah, you just got to do the work, dude. No one's gonna do it for you, like you said earlier. And that's not what Client Ascension or any other coaching program is there for. Like you still have to show up. It's
Yeah,
your business at the end of the day, right?
100%, man.
So I love the realness of your advice, and also just the fact that you've been at it for so long. I'm just it makes me so much happier to see you just crushing it again. Like not even just the numbers, but your brand reputation, right? Like I've talked to people about your services and the work you do, and like you genuinely are helping these people build their personal brands and spread their messages. And to me, that's, I mean, the money is great, right? But that outweighs the money, at least long term. I think that's what you'll remember long term. And that's what will help you to make more money too, which is the best part. So you're doing really great work, dude. And so the
Thanks,
last thing
man.
I want to leave here with is where can our audience or people listening now find you, follow you, and just learn more about working with you? Because ultimately, again, you do really good work and can help, I'm sure, a lot of people listening here today.
Yeah, guys, if you want to connect with me, I'm always active on the Slack channel, Calvin Manik. You can check out my website at coolcreatives.com as well. I'm on Twitter at Unlimited Calvin. You can connect with me there. And for all Client Ascension members that do become my clients, I always like to give a special price just because of how, you know, influential this community has been to my journey personally. But yeah, I would love to connect with any of you. If you don't want to buy anything, you just want to talk, or if you want to visit Indonesia at some time, bro, just hit me up. Like it's not all about business.
Yeah.
I just like making friends as well, to be quite
Yeah,
honest.
dude. You're genuinely a good dude, and it's what makes Client essentially good is people like you. Seriously. Like when you mention community, it's not Slack, it's the people that fill the
Yeah,
Slack
of course.
channels, right? And so you're a big part of that, and I just want to say I appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you as well. You build a great thing here. Build a really, really great
Appreciate it,
thing.
man. Hey, well, we're just getting started. We still have some higher ambitions, as I'm sure you do as well. So, real quick before we sign off, what's next with the agency? Where are you looking to go from here?
Yeah, man. To be quite honest with you, I've seen my competitors. I know how high in revenue they can go. So that's what I'm aiming for right now. Aiming for 6-figure months, 7-figure years. And I don't think that's very, very far away if I keep doing the work. And then after that, as you know, I'm looking to get into SaaS as well, but it's still in the mind. Focus is really important to me. I've heard a lot of advice about people like jumping from like one offer to another offer agency and then AI, and then they jump into like e-com and everything. That doesn't work because Daniel gave a really great advice because every learning you did learn, it all starts back from zero if you do that, right? So I've made a commitment to not shift or make any other businesses until I reach a certain goal, right?
It's the way
So
to be.
once that's reached, then I can think about other stuff, and then I'll have more capital to deploy anyways. So it'll make sense.
Yeah, dude. That's one of the best lessons I've ever learned is just go all in on one thing. Narrow your focus, and it's boring, dude. Sometimes it's
Yeah,
boring.
man.
Sometimes you
Good
see these
boy.
other guys just crushing it or look like they're crushing it with other newer ideas and concepts, and it's so easy to have that urge to jump to the next thing, and if you don't, you'll be rewarded. So stay disciplined, stay focused, and I can't wait to see where you'll be in a year from now.
Yeah, man. Can't wait for Clan Ascension to be 1,000 members. I think it's gonna happen this year, bro.
Awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Andre. Appreciate you.